So I call this the 7 aspects of living a creative, balanced, and abundant life. They probably should be titled My 7 Aspects, okay? So I'm going to share them with you. This is what, over my years being an independent business person, these are the things that I have discovered are what make my life worth living, are what helps keep me sane, and what helps me keep at it. You know, there's a book called Art and Fear, great book, very short little read. Inside of it, they talk about the percentages of people who went to art school who continued to do art later in life, or even right after graduation. And the percentage is just horrifying. Less than 5%. Less than 5%. And the book comments that if business schools had these kinds of results, they'd be closing them down. So, you know, we have to look at what is the problem here. So, number 1, this is living an abundant life according to Denise. Deep connection to yourself. We'll talk at length about each of these. I'll just get them all up here now. Work that is in alignment with who you really are. That sort of dovetails on what Tom Wilson was talking about. And it makes magic. When you are finally doing things that are in alignment with yourself, things happen miraculously without a struggle. I've lived it, I know. So, abundant compensation for your work. Negotiating your fees, setting your fees properly. We'll talk about that. I have a handout for you to take home on how to set fees. Realistic fees, not slave wage fees, which so many of us do. And so many of us do work for free. I want to tell you right now, when you get out into the professional world, do not do work on spec. That means do not do work in competition with other people in order to get the work. That means you are giving away your gift. You are giving away what should be paid for. If more and more of us stick to that, it'll be better. Now, there was a point in my career where I was getting to the next level, and I was competing for very large projects with advertising agencies. And what I found once I had all this staff and, you know, all of these credentials and everything you need to be successful, I found that on that level, when I was competing with advertising agencies, they were bringing in very slick work, and that's how that was part of their proposal. And I just didn't do it that way. And I stuck to my guns. I just don't do it that way. You look at my portfolio, you like what you see, you talk to me, you understand who I am, where I'm coming from, you trust me, we're a partnership. That's how I work. Okay? Freedom to determine your own schedule, that's the best part. I really like having free time. I really like being flexible. And so this is another thing that you can build in. The irony, though, is when I started my business back in 1985, I kept a time chart. And I would make sure that I was working 8 hours a day at least. That's not the way to work, okay? I guess it was good in the beginning because I was learning a discipline. But in the long run, you know, if you want a job and you want to work 9 to 5, get a job to work 9 to 5. If you're a creative person, then your schedule should be as flexible as possible. You know, sometimes we like to work at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's when our best ideas are. That's right. Control over your process and working circumstances. These days, even more than ever, I get clients who, you know, well, we've got the printer. We'll just hand it off to him. That, in the days that were the best days of my career is when I chose the printer. I supervised the printing. I looked out. I was there, press approvals and so forth. So if you're working on your own, you should have some say in how your work is done. Now, my bugaboo is I'd like to have a working relationship with the printer. Even if it's not my printer, I want to talk to him and I want to ask him how he wants things and, you know, to create that relationship. But if you have someone that is barking orders out at you, not honoring your process, how you do things, or telling you how to do your work or how to move your hand on the keyboard, you know, that's something you may want to avoid at some point, or just be able to recognize it when it's happening. It's not okay. Time for personal well-being, physically and emotionally. These are all the benefits of being self-employed. And time to nourish close relationships. So those are my big 7. Those are the elements I want in my life while I'm earning a living creatively, earning a great living creatively. Now this is not a step 1, step 2, step 3, voila. There is no easy way. I'm not going to stand up here and tell you guys I have all the answers. I don't. I'm finding my way after 23 years of being self-employed. It's, you know, if you don't like change, don't be self-employed. You know, I'll have a really great client for 3 or 4 years, then they go away. And I have to find a new one. Or I have to really be looking for new ones before that happens. Because that's really about as long as you can expect a relationship to last, because there's so much change in corporations these days. So if you have a contact, that person may be gone in 2 or 3 years, and they bring in new people, and you know, all of a sudden you can try schmoozing them. I did that with one hospital that I worked for. I stayed on with 3 different directors of marketing. But you know, how long can you hang on there? And then it gets boring. You need a new challenge.